Hello and welcome everybody to the second episode of the Bright Lights podcast. I am one of your two co-hosts, Cody Roskins. Alongside me is my good friend and partner, Brayton Tuma. Brayton, it's been a calendar week or just over now because we're recording this one on a Sunday that we last kind of got in touch with each other about Southwest Iowa sports and their athletic events going on. So how's your week been? Anything exciting and different or fascinating?
It has been my week personally has been great. We're finding a way to get stuff done and just work. But most importantly, I was able to keep up with a lot of the soccer action, and I was able to watch a little bit of track too. Saw some of the reports on Varsity Bound and saw some Twitter feeds. So it's pretty cool to keep track of that too. But it's been an overall good week, and I'm just happy that I get to be part of a podcast with one of my good friends and something I look forward to doing every Sunday. So,
Absolutely. Again, couldn't have said it better. We do have a lot to get into. It is a busy week in Southwest Iowa and Northwest Iowa as we cover that as well. But first, we're going to go ahead and start off kind of what we did last time. We'll start with soccer, and we're going to start first with the Western Iowa Conference girls. There were two games that came out on April the 4th, which was a Monday, and that was Tri-Center versus Trainer, a game of top 7 teams in Class 1A at the time. And then Missouri Valley took on, at time, number 15, Underwood. Tri-Center and Trainer finished that game 6-3 in favor of the Trojans, and Missouri Valley fell 10-0 in a major decision to Underwood. Your quick thoughts on those two games?
uh, they're really good, hard-fought games. I'm looking at it. We got scores from almost all of them that week, the tournament-wise, and we were kind of we talked about it a little bit. These are some big deciding games. We had, as you said, or Tri-Center versus Trainer. You get top 10 matchup right there. Finished 6-3. Very strong performance from Tri-Center, and Trainer. They're looking to prove to just kind of show that they can play against teams like this. And it wasn't the strongest showing. A little bit of a I'd almost say setback, but they play them again, and you're going to see them more than once this season, even outside of that. You're going to see them in tournaments, going to see them in you're going to see them in the postseason, most likely. So it's good to see them face off so we know what that matchup looks like. But I honestly think that it was a great matchup. And then the other game you were talking about was the LC girls. Is that the other one you were talking about?
Missouri Valley and Underwood.
The Missouri Valley and Underwood. Yeah, the Missouri Valley and Underwood game. It was we talked about it last week, and I said, it's a chance to get to see Underwood and their style of play, and was not disappointed. They played very, very good soccer, good technical soccer, and they were able to get a predictable result, and they finished the game with class and ended it with a 10-0 win, and have a really good strong start to the season. And I'm excited to see a Underwood Tri-Center matchup because I want to see kind of how that's going to mix in, and I think it's going to be good to see then Underwood versus Trainer. We've already seen Trainer versus Tri-Center, but I want to see these three kind of go at it to see how's this top three going to kind of shake out at the beginning of the season, because we all know, as we've talked about last week, injuries, roster sizes, and just plain fatigue, not even just being injured, but throughout the season, you start to play these back-to-back games. Can you last the entire season, the entire week? I remember in high school, there was a game where we played Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. By Friday, you're tired, but you might be playing a team that only played 2 games that week, and the other game they played was on Monday. So, that does factor into some of these scores, and I'm interested to see how some of these are going to turn out. But I really want to see how this big three shakes out, and I'm really excited for an Underwood Tri-Center matchup and then an Underwood Trainer matchup, because I think it's going to be a good one.
Absolutely. And of course, it should be mentioned that Missouri Valley had played another game to that point against Atlantic in which they lost 7-0. But a quick note on that game, that's the first time in program history that the Atlantic Trojans girls team has ever started 3-0 in program history. And so a big step there for Atlantic girls soccer, their first ever achievement in that department at the 3-0 start to the season. But we also had some boys in action, and we'll go ahead and throw Western Iowa Conference Hawkeye 10 together because we only had 4 games combined on that day. And the lone Western Iowa Conference game was HSTW and West Central Valley, which ended in a 3-2 win for the Vikings in penalty kicks. For the Hawkeye 10, we had Lewis Central and Denison Schleswig in a 4-2 victory for the Titans. And then Creston and St. Albert's played in a 3-2 win for the Panthers. And then rounding it out was Harlan Community in Glenwood, and Glenwood won 4-0. So some competitive games, some not so competitive games, but kind of, again, what we thought coming into this week. Hawkeye 10 just can continue to beat up on each other. And the Western Iowa Conference is you got to win the games you're supposed to, and you got to find a way to just keep foothold with Trainer and Tri-Center. And that's what HSCW was able to do.
Yeah, and it was very important for them to do that because when they start to play these bigger teams, such as the Trainer and, Underwood, those are going to be 2 big teams that they got to beat. St. Albert's, they're going to play in season. That is a Hawkeye 10 matchup. That'll be interesting to see because it's going to be a pretty good measuring stick to some of these better teams that they're going to see when they reach postseason play. So I'm interested to see that one. I think that'll be a good one. But yeah, it's good for HSTW to get a foothold in some games where you have to win if you want to stay in this race. Because that's what it's going to come down to in the WIC. Just as you said, it's I have to win these games. Like I can't have any slip-ups. Slip-ups can mean I'm not playing past my last game of the regular season, and that's nobody wants to do that. So they got a good win here in PKs. It was an exciting one, and moving on to the Hawkeye 10 boys action here. I believe that's 10 in a row. Am I right? Reading right?
Yep,
That's
Lewis
10.
Central. Yep, Lewis Central has now won 10 in a row against the Denison Schleswig Monarchs.
That it's a dominant performance. Like we said, this is a really tough team. We talked about it last week, both the boys and girls side. LC is a tough team to kind of beat. They're a powerhouse when it comes to Western Iowa soccer, and they were able to get stuff done again. And I'm actually excited. It was a 4-2 finish, but Denison did have the lead at halftime, if I was not mistaken.
Yep, I think they held a 2-1 lead at halftime.
And that kind of makes it exciting because you almost look at it and go, was it fatigue? Was it one goal let in and out? Here we go again. I think Denison actually has the talent to beat a team like LC, and they showed it in the first half. You just got to put 2 halves together because this was a tale of 2 halves. Denison kind of dominated the first half. You look at shot percentages and shots on goal, and they put up a ton of them, and they were able to get a 2-1 first half score, and that's great. But you just got to finish the game. Even if you're throwing 6 back on defense and you're just not letting anything past half, you got to find a way to win games. And you close a game out against Lewis Central, that's a big one. So, and then Creston versus St. Albert's, Creston found a way to get a win. It was good to see them win. We talked about them trying to turn around the program here, and they found a way to get one against a quality opponent at that too. So that was good to see. And from what I understand, the game was actually really good and kind of down to the wire. So I'm sure it was a fun one there. I wasn't able to see any clips or any live scores with that one. But obviously just through friends and talking, I kind of heard that one had been down to the wire and it was a fun one to watch. And then to Harlan and the Glenwood game, Glenwood showing that, hey, we're here. We're trying to become something in that top 3. Obviously, every team wants to be the top spot, but as it's our job as people covering this, they're going to be a top 3 team. I think so. I think they're a top 3 Hawkeye 10 team, but they're going to have to continue this run. Harlan off to a shaky start, but I do know this. They have a young team. This is a younger team where it's a lot of sophomores and some inexperienced juniors where you don't have a lot of varsity play time. Now this team, from what I understand, they got a lot of they had a lot of travel soccer kids. This team could be very scary in the years to come because they're going to start playing together. Because right now it's not a very what I would say it's not a very meshed team right now. It's kind of scattered from what I understand. And I don't mean that in a bad way at all. It's just it's not like they're fighting, arguing. No, they just don't know how to play together yet. Once they do that and they get a year of experience, this is going to be a very scary team in the future. But for now, we're kind of looking at a team that might have a little bit of ride the struggle bus a little bit, but we might see an explosion in the back half of the season where it turns into where did this team come from? But by then it might be too late. So if they get things figured out quick, this could be also a team you throw into the top three, but they have to prove it with their young talent. So that's going to be an interesting thing to watch, and we're going to keep our eye on them because it's a local team, and they're, obviously me and Cody, I have friends over there, and it's just going to be a interesting team to watch, but they got to figure stuff out, and I think they can, but got to have the confidence to do it.
Absolutely. And again, we'll wrap things up here with the Hawkeye 10 girls. There was only 3 games in action. They're on the 4th that we kept an eye on. All pretty chalk decisions, so not a whole lot to dive into here. 14th ranked St. Albert's was able to go in and beat Creston 6-0. 14th ranked Glenwood beat Harlan Community 2-0. And then LC beat Denison-Schleswig 4-1, and they continue to be 10th in the state. As we move on now to Tuesday and Wednesday's games, taking a look at the Western Iowa Conference, we had 15th ranked Underwood and TJ get postponed. That was going to be one of the big games that we keyed in on last week that we thought Underwood would be able to say, okay, here's a 3A school. We've got a chance to go and prove why we should be ranked. That game unfortunately got postponed due to weather. Then we had East Sac County and Logan Magnolia, a team again in the Western Iowa Conference, trying to find their way, so to speak. Everyone's kind of chalking up Underwood, Tri-Center, and Trainer to be that top 3. Is Loma going to buy their way into that 4th spot? They won that game They lost that game 2-1. And then, of course, on the boys' side, it was East Sac and Loma again. This time, East Sac again takes the game 3-2. So your quick thoughts on both sides for the boys and girls for Western Iowa Conference?
Yeah, East Sac County versus Logan. It was a good one. Logan trying to kind of get into that in-season mode because it kind of looks like they're off to a slow start right now, and you can kind of see that as play goes on. East Sac County is not a terrible opponent for them. I think it was a good matchup, and you can see that in the score. They just need to find a way to win the game. That's what early season games are going to come down to, because you're going to find out who your powerhouses are about halfway through. That's 100% honesty, because a lot of teams, I've said earlier on Harlan, a lot of teams are trying to figure themselves out. And the thing is you get halfway through, and some of these cellar dwellers and some of these, midline riders, they figure themselves out and they explode into these to these postseason spots. And you're like, where did these teams come from? It's because they figured out how to play. They have the athletes. They just they have to put it together. And moving to the WIC girls, Underwood versus TJ getting postponed. It's kind of sad, because I think it was going to be a good game, good matchup, but we're going to have to wait to see it. And then East Sac versus Logan for the girls, 2-1 finish. It was a great game, but just a
story
close
of Loma
one.
season. You got to find a way to win it.
Got to find a way to win games. They surprised us though, getting the win last week, and like I said, this is going to be a team to keep your eye on. And I think that we're going to find out who this team is in about 2 weeks. Mark my words, Cody. 2 Sundays from now, we're going to be sitting here talking, and when we bring up WIC Girls Conference again, we're going to be, this is who the Loma girls are. Loma girls are.
I want everyone to see it. We have the pen. Here's the
down.
paper.
Mark
Underwood and Loma are 2 teams to watch, but we want to look at Underwood and Loma in 2 weeks' time and see where they sit.
2 weeks' time. You come back with it. We're going to recap this, and I'm going to tell you right now, Loma's going to surprise us. It may not be through rec. I'm telling you this right now. When I say surprise, I don't mean they're going to go and win every game they play. This is going to be a team where they're going to tough it out, and they might lose some close ones, but they're going to show us that they have the talent to hang with these teams. These aren't going to be 5-0 losses, 6-0 losses. I'm talking 3-2, 2-1, even 4-2. That is not a bad loss. And they're going to find a way to win games too. And it's going to be close. This is going to be a fun team to watch. And I'm really interested to see where they're at in 2 weeks as they get more games and more experience under their belt. So this is going to be a good one to watch. But yes, we got to keep our eye on these two teams.
So the first Tuma's take of the year is Underwood and Logan Magnolia will be jockeying for the similar positioning in 2 weeks' time, which will be big because Western Iowa Conference play really takes a big step here in the next 7 calendar days. But we'll go ahead and jog on in now to the Hawkeye 10. And once again, the weather kind of got the best of us, but Sheridan versus Creston got postponed. That game was originally scheduled for Tuesday. Sioux City East and Denison Schleswig had a shootout 7-6. And then on the girls' side, it was 10th ranked Lewis Central and 14th ranked St. Albert's in a 5-1 decision for the Titans. And then Unity Christian and Sergeant Bluff Luton was a 2-1 victory for Unity Christian. Your quick thoughts on the Hawkeye 10, boys and girls?
Yeah, an absolute score fest between Denison and Sioux City East. And those are fun to watch because that turns into, some of these are quick goals, and then some of these are long, drawn out and played. Unfortunately, Denison couldn't find a way to get it done. But I mean, great effort between these two teams. It's hard to get goals. It is. It's very hard to score goals. So when you see this many in a game, you know that these players they're trying. They're putting everything they got into this. And this does not say that these defenses are weak at all. I know some people are going to say, 7-6 score. That just means it's the equivalent to a Big 12 football game. No defense. But I'm telling you right now, that's not what this means. This means that, maybe some of these goals were luck, and, a goal is a goal, luck or not. Okay. A goal is a goal. But some breakaways. But I think watching these two teams play, I think a lot of this was in buildup, and sometimes you just have a higher goal percentage or a shot percentage on it. So I think that's kind of what happened here, and they found a way to put more in. This wasn't something where they were missing a ton. I think it's just they were on goal a lot, and they found ways to get the ball in the back of the net. So that's a big thing. And then we talked about
Unity and Sergeant Bluff.
Yeah, Unity and Sergeant Bluff. What an exciting game. It was an exciting one, 2-1. Unity Christian getting the win there. It's a good step for them, and I'm hoping that they're going to continue this trend because I think they could be a strong team, but I guess we're going to find out. And then Lewis Central showing that once again they are a dominant force. And
they own the city of Council Bluffs.
They own the city of Council Bluffs. You don't enter and you don't leave without their say so. So it's just one of those things. They find ways to get it done, and 5-1 finish. There's nothing else to say. 5-1 finish. Titans are being the Titans. It's the gold standard of the Hawkeye 10.
Absolutely. And then as we continue into other action, we had Missouri River Conference games going on. And this is a game I wanted to throw on because this only happens once in the history of time, eternity, however you want to say it. But Thomas Jefferson played Lamar's. This was the first ever program win for the Lamar's boys soccer team. They won the game 6-3. Their first ever program victory comes against TJ. Got to give a lot of props to Lamar's. Congratulations. And they've actually gone on to win another game since. But congratulations again to Lamar's. That doesn't happen literally ever again. You get a first ever program win. So again, congratulations to Lamar's. In other action in the Missouri River, we had Abraham Lincoln and Bishop Heelan. Heelan went ahead and took that game 7-0 in a no-doubter fashion. And then on the girls' side, a really competitive game that we saw kind of building up, and we thought this would be a really great game, kind of like the Ankeny AL game was. But AL drops 1-2 to Bishop Heelan. But we'll have more on that here in just a second. But your quick thoughts on the Missouri River Conference going up and down.
Going up and down. First of all, congratulations to Lamar's. Once again, as Cody stated, you only get one first win in program history. You guys found a way to get it done. If any of you guys are watching, sincere congratulations. Soak it all in and then get back to work because we're expecting a lot from you guys. You guys got 2 wins back to back, and it's early in the program. So you guys are going to be fun to watch, and this is coming from Spotlight Sports, okay? AL versus Heelan. On the boys' side, Heelan's a good soccer team. Heelan's gonna win a lot of games this year, and they showed it here. AL's got some stuff to figure out as we see in the score. So this is gonna be a team where we're gonna have to watch them struggle through a few games and find their identity. And then AL girls versus Heelan. Listen here, Cody. I said it last week, and I will say it again. The AL girls are still my pick for a deep postseason run. Both of their losses this year, one was to the number one, okay, and then you lose to Heelan, which is a great soccer program, and then Ankeny, another top five team. All of these losses are, and it's not like these girls are losing, like 4-2, 4-1. It's 2-1, like last second decisions. This is a good team, and I said last week, I said this, once they get a lot more experience. I think I tweeted at you. Once this team gets experience and closes games, very scary team. This is not going to be a team you want to play. I think it's already not, because even when you find a way to beat this team, it takes everything to do it. It takes a full blown effort, no mistakes. Heelan found a way to do that. And a good win for Heelan. Congratulations to those girls. But AL is still my pick to be a powerhouse in postseason play. These girls are going to find a way to get it done. You have my full confidence. You can talk to me in 2 weeks, and it's going to be the same thing. They can lose the rest of their games. They're all going to be close, but these girls have talent, and I'm ready to see that talent progress into what we see go from a good team to a great team, and I think it's going to happen.
Well, that's the thing about AL this year, Tuma, is that just about every single one of their games has been top 10 opponents in Class 3. They had Ankeny Centennial. They had Ankeny. Now they have Heelan. And then they had the big Saturday tournament, which we'll jump into here in just a second, with the TJ Girls Tournament. It should be noted that for AL, since we're talking about it, Hannah Shermer was the Iowa Player of the Week with her 3 goals and 2 assists. I know you had some stats on her stat line that you really found impressive.
Oh, very. I was looking at her season stat lines, and first of all, congratulations. It's amazing to be named a player of the week, let alone Iowa Player of the Week. So congratulations to Hannah. One thing that I loved about her stat line is in 4 games, 16 shots. This is a real stat line. I don't care how, like, 4 games. This is crazy. 4 games, 16 shots. That's only 4 shots a game. She put 8 on goal. So you're looking at this, and she also has 4 goals. So if you break this down into a per game average, okay, she is shooting only 4 shots a game. 2 of them are going to go on goal, and 1 of them is guaranteed to go in. So you're looking at an automatic 1 goal a game. And I think her assist stat line is about half an assist a game. So, she's a huge difference maker, and a well-deserved award that she earned herself there. But that's a hard stat line to get, because a lot of people, in my experience, and this is a personal thing, a lot of people that get a lot of goals throw shots up, as me and Cody were talking about earlier. I became a player where it was just throwing shots up, trying to find the back of the net. I became a gambler, and I would shoot even if it was a 1% chance it was going to go in. That is not the case with Hannah. She is taking shots that she knows she can make, but she's creating them herself. And that's what it takes to go from a good player to a great player. And we see it. And so congratulations to her again on the award. And keep playing your style of soccer. If you're watching this, keep playing your style of soccer, because you're a good soccer player. We can see it on the stat line, and you're going to be exciting to watch. So congratulations, Hannah, and just keep playing hard.
Yeah, we love seeing your clips on Twitter that we get tagged by AL Soccer. That's always a joy when we can see athletes sending in their clips. But there's one other athlete, Tuma, that I know we don't have on the script here that I wanted to touch on, and it's Lewis Central's Hannah Dowdy. She's currently second in the state for goals with 12. Her teammate Gracie Hayes is, tied for third in the state with assists at 6. And then as far as total points go, Hannah Dowdy leads the state in total points at 26. So a player that, again, in Council Bluffs that we kind of glazed over in terms of talking about LC, but we wanted to point out her efforts this season. The midfielder for the Titans has been a big reason why they're having so much success this season. And then one other Western Iowa athlete, Clara Teagland for trainer is second in the state with 7 assists. So a lot of area athletes who maybe don't get the love of that big spotlight of the Iowa Player of the Week, but still putting in great effort for their teams.
Yeah, exactly. And everyone puts in a great effort for their teams, and me and Cody are going to stress that. Every player puts in effort. We're not saying anybody doesn't, but some people, their effort is a difference maker, and that's what it just happens to be. And for anybody that says a goal, or I mean, well, an assist isn't as good as a goal because that stat line, oh, it's an assist in soccer. An assist, I was stressed this by multiple coaches at all sorts of levels. An assist is just as good as a goal. Why? Because an assist means a goal was scored. So that is a seven assists already. That is a great stat to have. That means she knows her teammates. She has great connections and she understands where they're going to be and when they're going to be there. And on top of that, she finds a way to make the pass. So that's a great stat line to have. So you brag about that. All right. If you're watching, make sure you brag about that because that's a very important stat line to have. And just as you said, there's loads of talent in this Council Bluffs area. And even as we sort of leave Council Bluffs, there's a lot of teams that have talented athletes, and we're just waiting to see them kind of express themselves and separate themselves from the pack. And as we move on in the season, we're going to see that.
Absolutely. Well, it's time that we jump into our big ticket item for soccer and our second to last soccer item here before we jump into track and golf. But we had the Thomas Jefferson Invitational Tournament, and it was a massive tournament. State-ranked teams up and down the board. I think it was a combined 21 games over the length of 2 days because Lewis Central and Scott from Nebraska played 2 days prior. We'll go ahead and run down the first column of games here for you, Brayton. It was Underwood and Kemper Catholic in a 6-0 decision for the Eagles, and these are all girls' games. Thomas Jefferson defeated Des Moines East 3-0. West Des Moines Valley lost to Bishop Heelan 4-0. Scott Catholic out of Omaha, Nebraska, defeated Abraham Lincoln 3-0. And Scott, for those maybe not as familiar, they're a power in the state of Nebraska. Did some numbers on them, and they have one of the better winning percentages and all-time wins in the state of Nebraska. Following up that was Glenwood and Dallas Center Grimes, an 8-0 win for Dallas Center Grimes. TJ and Urbandale went to penalty kicks, in which was a 5-3 win for Thomas Jefferson, so a big win there for the Yellow Jackets. And then probably the best game of the day, a game of two top 3 teams in the state, was Abraham Lincoln and West Des Moines Valley, the number 1 team in the state. And then Abraham Lincoln, now the 3rd-ranked team in the state, was a 1-2 win for the West Des Moines Valley Tigers in a overtime victory. Tuma, your quick thoughts on that first column of games.
Yeah, Underwood versus Kemper, that was an expected result. That Underwood girls team is a good one, and I think they could be great at that. So I'm excited. I've already stated that. I'm excited to see how this team progresses throughout the season. When you get to Heelan, West Des Moines Valley, I mean, that good game. 0-4
Heelan's another
result.
state-ranked team. That's just what they do.
Heelan's another state-ranked team, and it's just what they do. And it's funny because you look at that, and it was Owen. Valley lost to Heelan 4-0. You turn around, and we talked about it earlier. AL lost to Heelan 2-1. So I mean, these are close games, and these teams are not really finding a way to separate themselves, which is a good thing because that makes this really fun to talk about. And we're both here for it. So, and then Scott, as you've said, I am in Nebraska, and that is all I hear about when you talk about women's soccer is all that the girls Scott team. They have this stat line, this many goal scorers. That is a good powerhouse program over here. They're talked about a lot and with very high prestige. So finding a way to get a 3-0 win over AL, that's no feat, but it's no easy feat, but they did it. AL just these close games, like I said, it's just going to take some experience in these high ticket games. And I think they can still get it done. Glenwood versus Dallas Center Grimes. DCG's got a good program over there. Glenwood is going to have to look to see who are we going to be here, because we talked about them trying to throw themselves into the mix, and a 0-8 result is not going to get it done. So they just, even though it's tournament play, it doesn't go into their conference ranking or any postseason. It doesn't have any postseason effects. It's still, when you look at it, it's okay. Well, this happened when they played DCG, so they just got to find a way to not even if it is still a loss, losing 8-0 cannot happen. TJ versus Urbandale was an exciting one. TJ found a way to get it done, and this is another team that we're going to have to keep track of. Because
that
I think
TJAL game might be a severely underrated game by the time we get there.
I think when TJ and AL play, I think I'm packing my bags and I'm headed down to Council Bluffs, because I'm about to get some live footage. Because one, AL, they are still my girls. They are still my pick. I'm telling you, this is a team that, and that's who I'm about to move on to here. AL versus West Des Moines Valley, 1-2 loss. I still pick them. I have so much confidence in them.
And as you should. I mean, West Des Moines Valley is the number one team in the state, and it's not because they're just Joe Schmoes.
Exactly.
I mean, but AL is showing, hey, guys, we're right there. And again, it's just another close loss, but this AL team is going to give people fits in the postseason.
Oh, my girls, you're breaking my heart. All these close ones, but I still have my full confidence in you. And this is no bias. Obviously, me and Cody didn't go to AL. I watched this team, and I'm like,
we're fans
wow,
of good soccer.
Wow, yes, exactly. Good soccer. This is good soccer to watch, and they're gonna find a way. They are gonna find a way. As they're not in the Hawkeye 10 conference, as the mistake was made last week. They're gonna find a way. They're in a very winnable conference for them, and I think we're gonna see experience meet the talent about a week or two away, because they have played some high ticket games. Like we said, all of their losses to number one, when they were ranked 5, they lost to
Heelan's currently ranked, I have it here, they're ranked 4th in 1A, and so
yeah, exactly.
Heelan took down the number 1 team in 3A, and then they take down the number 1 team.
Exactly.
What is going on?
It's crazy, and these are talented teams that they're losing to. But once they find a way to win these high ticket games, this is a team that is going to cause huge fits, because they're going to get to the postseason, and people are going to look their record up and look at what they've played, and they're going to go, oh, well, they lost to them, and here and there. So this is gonna, because we all know how sports work.
They lost. We did have that. We had that backwards too. It's 4-0 Valley over Heelan, but the point still stands that all three of the teams are beating up.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. These teams are beating up on each other, and they're not separating themselves, as I said earlier. But back to this AL team, teams are going to look at them in the postseason and go, oh, well, they lost to this team, they lost to this school, and they're going to be, and then you know how it works. Well, we beat them by 2-1. They played an opponent that we also play, so they're going to try to do
there's a bigger fish.
Always the bigger fish. And I'm telling you, a team that might, because AL, with the record that they're going to have, I'm not saying they're going to be a high rank in the postseason, but there's going to be a higher ranked team that goes, oh, well, this is a win for us. We're just going to walk through this. And AL, I fully believe that these girls will take, by the time they reach the postseason, they're going to have the experience to, frankly, for lack of better terms, if they play a higher ranked team, they're going to kind of walk out and punch them in the mouth and show them that they're here to play. And I'm excited for it, and I can't wait to see it, but we're still a long ways away from it. So we're just going to have to wait and see.
Absolutely. We still have a lot of games to get through, so we'll kind of try and pound some of these out. But we had Lewis Central and Tri-Center kick off the second session of games. Dallas Center, Grimes, and Trainer. That first game was 3-1. Dallas Center, Grimes, and Trainer was 4-2. Urbandale versus Glenwood was 2-1. Tri-Center and Van Meter was 1-2 finish in favor of Van Meter. Heelan and Scotus CC was a win for Scotus. Kemper and Sioux City North was a 1-2 win for Sioux City North. And then Southeast Polk and Trainer. Trainer was able to get a win here with a 0-2 finish. We had this Sioux City North HSTW game. Not quite sure what the final was on there. We had trouble finding a final score poster for that. So if anybody knows, feel free to tag us. If not, no big deal. However, the Sioux City South game versus St. Albert was a 5-3 finish for Sioux City South, or excuse me, for South Sioux City. Spencer and Southeast Polk was a 4-2 finish for Spencer. AHSTW and St. Albert was a 7-1 victory for the Saints. And then Des Moines East and South Sioux City, well, that's a tongue twister, was 2-4 in favor of South Sioux City. And then Underwood and Spencer was a 3-2 win for Spencer. So again, Underwood playing up against some bigger competition. And then Van Meter and Scotus rounded things out. Tuma, your thoughts on those games?
Well, and it's not that any of these games were any less important than the one that I'm going to pick to talk about here, because I'm only going to pick one or two. Because Cody's right, we do have a schedule to keep on. We don't want to sit here on a 90-minute podcast. So the game that I'm going to pick to talk about right away is Tri-Center versus Van Meter. And once again, these Tri-Center girls, when it comes to their conference, I still think that they are the front runner. To me, it's not going to be close. Tri-Center girls are going to take I know right now you get on Varsity Bound and it's a straight tie between 4 teams, but look at the games that this girls Tri-Center team has played. They went to this tournament and played Van Meter, who's ranked 4th in 1A, and they played them to a 2-1 result. It's a good loss. It's so weird to say that because losing is never good, but when you look at aesthetic wise in your record, that is a good loss. So if they find a way to get it done, that's a great win. So, and that's the difference is it goes from a good loss to a great win. Unfortunately, they weren't able to do it. Still have confidence in them. And once again, experience. As the season goes on, I think some of these games are going to have different results if they played them again. And Tri-Center, that's ranked 7th in Class 1A, so it's going to be a good one. And then the second game I want to talk about is actually Underwood versus Spencer. Another WIC conference team taking a close loss, but Spencer being a bigger school, and Underwood showed they can play with a team with a bigger roster size, but not necessarily bigger roster size doesn't necessarily mean more talent. And Underwood kind of showed that. So that was exciting to see. But yeah, my final thoughts on that are, these WIC conference teams, it seems like all we're talking about, and even with the River Conference, the WIC Conference, and the Hawkeye 10, it seems all we're talking about is all these close losses, Cody. And I think that this is going to be a thing. This is going to be a season where once we start to get into, okay, we're now going to start playing our in-conference games and only our local games instead of all these tournaments and going to all the way to Des Moines to play, going up north to play. We start to really to center into that south to southwest Iowa, and all these teams start to actually play each other. We could build just a straight soccer podcast because it's going to be crazy to talk about in the next coming weeks. But yeah, those are 2 games that I liked. And with that, it was a good tournament and a lot of good results.
Absolutely. Just our last thing here for soccer, because we've been rambling on it here for a minute. The quick new Iowa high school girls soccer rankings came out earlier this week. And running down from high to low in Class 1A, Van Meter currently jumps up to 4th. Bishop Heelan is 6th. Tri-Center remains at 7th. Trainer falls down to 11th. And St. Albert's drops 1 spot to 15th. Underwood was the only team that we had in our area drop out of the rankings. In Class 2A, Lewis Central and Glenwood both stay at their same spots at 10th and 14th, respectively. And then in Class 3A, Abraham Lincoln jumps from 5th to 3rd. And then Sioux City East jumps in at 15th. So, Brayton, as we wrap up soccer, we'll now head into girls golf. So we've kind of covered golf a little differently here. This will be our first time, either of us, covering golf. But all we did was took some area duels or some area meets from the 4th, 5th, 7th, and so on. We'll quickly run down the scores for you here. I'll take the fourth. Brayton, you can take the fifth and seventh if you would like. But for the duels that we had on the fourth, again, this is for girls golf, and we're going to alternate between girls golf and boys track back and forth each week just because there's so many events to cover. But on the fourth, we had HSCW and Audubon. That was a forfeit win for Audubon against HSCW. Logan Magnolia took on Underwood and won that meet 222 to 252. And then Tri-Center and Riverside got together, and it was a 262 to 360 win for the Tri-Center Trojans. And then Clarinda and Glenwood got together in what was a really close duel, and it was Clarinda taking that one 231 to 237. And I'll turn it over to you now for the fifth and seventh.
Yeah, so on April 5th, Lewis Central took on Denison and Storm Lake. Denison won the meet with a score of 227. Storm Lake finished with 272, and LC finished with 303. ICAM Manning and Logan Magnolia also had a duel on the 5th. Unfortunately, wasn't able to find a score, so if anybody could shoot us that'd be great. We'll cover it and post it on Twitter. And then on the 7th, Denison and Harlan got postponed. Creston and Atlantic got postponed. Glenwood and Red Oak did have their duel, and Glenwood won 210 to 226. So there it is for the 5th and the 7th.
Yeah, and that's part of the tricky part that we're still learning about having to cover golf and track. Is that with all the duels that are possible outcomes out there, you have so many area schools going every which way, north, south, east, west, up, down. It really just kind of is hard to cover. And then with the cancellation, just kind of hard to track. So we appreciate you guys trying to stick with us. We'll promise we'll get better at it. But as we dip now into boys track, this is an older meet, but it had so many area schools that we felt the need to cover it. And it was the Griswold Stanton Relays back on the 31st of the month. So almost, well, I guess it would be 11 days ago now. We'll go ahead and just break down the individual events, who won and from what school. Austin Knuckle from Adair Casey Guthrie Center, or ACGC, won the 100-meter dash. He also won the 200-meter dash with times of 10:99 and 22:90. Aiden Silas of Riverside won the 400-meter dash with 53.02. In the 800-meter, it was a freshman Nicholas Milner of Heartland Christian won it with a time of 53.02. And then in the, that's supposed to be 1 minute 02. In the 1 mile, Tevin Sir of ACGC won with a 4 minute 34 second mile time. He also followed up with a 2 mile win of 10 minutes 13 seconds. Eli Marsh of Tri-Center took the long jump, with Marshall Knapp of Southwest Valley taking the high jump. Junior Peyton Embry of East Mills won the 110-meter hurdles. In the 400-meter hurdles, it was junior Hayden Hensley of Riverside. In the shot put, senior Victor Gonzalez of Adair Casey Guthrie Center took that one. In the discus, sophomore Dylan Inman of Southwest Valley. And now we get to the team relays. In the 4x1, it was Riverside taking the 4x1 with a 45-second time. West Harrison won the 4x2 with a 1 minute 38-second 4x2. Riverside then came back to win the next 3 consecutive relays with the 4x4, 4x8, and 800-meter relay with 3 minute 36 times, 9:04, and then 1:41 as their respective times. And then ACGC rounded out the Stanton and Griswold relays with times in the 1,600-meter relay and the 4x10 shuttle relay with times of 3 minutes and 44 seconds and 1 minute and 13 seconds. So, Brayton, obviously, I ran track. You did not run track, but you played different sports than what I played. Some of those times are incredibly fast, and it always seems in track either you get some super, super fast seniors or you get some super fast underclassmen, and they just kind of have a weird power balance. It never fails every year. You see the up-and-coming talent that are always just jackrabbits. I mean, they are just out of the gates fast. And then you got the upper seniors who have been there. They've built their time, a little more muscular, and maybe the endurance is a little better. And so it'll be kind of interesting to see with all the weather and cancellations that we've had this year. Do those younger underclassmen continue to remain fast without, that, in terms of reps, pressure situations, we get closer to district qualifying, or those upper class seniors going to kind of, okay, we're the seniors, we've been here before, we've got great talent on our relay teams. Are we going to hold fast here?
Yeah, it will be interesting. And like you said, condition has everything to do with this sport. And when you're older, you're more conditioned. That sounds weird to say, but when you're older, you've done this sport before, so you know how it's going to go. You know how to pace yourself, you know your body, and you know your limits, and you know how to push them. So that's going to be very important. And one person I actually want to touch on here, because I actually know their brother, so I've met him. It's senior Victor Gonzalez from ACGC. uh, it's a big boy, and he's gonna win a lot of shot put. I can tell you that right now. He's strong, big, strong dude. So that's gonna be somebody to watch in that category of shot put is Victor Gonzalez. So and he showed it there with getting the win at this meet. So it's gonna be interesting. But yeah, as you said, I'm looking at these times, and no, I did not run track, but I'm looking at these, and yeah, a lot of these I just know from my friends that ran track. Obviously, Cody um, was one of them. Uh, a lot like Austin, the junior Austin Knuckle from ACGC with a 10.99 at the 100-meter dash. That's I people
That's
said I
moving.
was
That's
that's
moving.
moving. People said I was fast. No, I was not fast. I was quick, and there is a difference between quick and fast. Quick lasts like 10 to 15 yards. Fast lasts 100 meters, and he showed it. So these are two really good times. It's going to be interesting to see where he plays out as we get later into this, and even maybe some state categories. 10.99 is a pretty good time. So we'll see as that goes on, and obviously times lower a little bit in season. So yeah, that's just my touch on it. A little bit of my take there. So
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we're going to go ahead and wrap things up with one surprise segment that I purposely didn't tell you about because I didn't want you to premeditate anything. I mentioned that I wanted to add some segments coming into this week's podcast and next week's podcast, and I kind of hinted on it earlier. We're going to do a segment called Tuma's Takes. And for this segment, solely your purpose is to give us you ever seen Charles Barkley on Inside the NBA on TNT? He can't.
yes.
He always hits his I guarantee. Well, we don't want you to guarantee anything, but we want you to give us and the viewers your most probable takes that you think could occur. But we want you to go out on a limb. We don't want you to say, "Oh, Tri-Center girls are going to win the Western Iowa Conference." We want you the most improbable take that has the best probability of happening, if that makes any sense. And we're going to write it down, stamp the date on it, and let's hear it. What's your first Tuma's take of the season?
Tuma's take of the season. Okay, so here's a big one. This is going to be. Do I only get one, or do I get how many?
You can give us as many as you want, but just know that's more chances for you to be wrong.
Well, you know me. I'm a gambler, Cody, and I love myself a challenge. So here's what's gonna happen here. I actually first take right here. First Tuma's take. We're gonna go with. I think, and I actually believe this can happen. So this is actually a great thing that you asked me.
Got the pen and paper.
You got the pen. You got the pen. Are you ready? All right, strap yourself in because you're gonna look at me and you're gonna think I am absolutely nuts.
I'm raring to go.
All right. The Logan Magnolia girls soccer team, they will finish above 500, and they're going to find a way to upset one of these. They will find a way to upset Trainer by the end of the year. By the end of the year. I'm not saying this is obviously it's not a guaranteed thing to happen, but I believe it. They got a lot of high scoring probability there. So I'm confident that they can get that done. A lot of improvement is needed for that, though. So this is, once again, as Cody said, it's not a guarantee. It's just a take that is a little stretched, but hey, it's there.
Now, are we talking finish above 500 in conference play or overall?
Conference play. They're going to finish above 500 in conference play. They play some tougher out-of-conference opponents, but they do have some winnable games. So I'm saying above 500 in conference play, and one of those wins that gets them above 500 is going to be an upset against Trainer. I believe it. Okay. I believe it.
I like that. It's not a terrible first one. I think we can do better next week. Do you have another one for us, or are you gonna just?
I do. We'll do two a week. We'll do two a week. So we'll do one girl's prediction. We'll do one boy's prediction. Okay. I'm going to say this right now, and I need to look at the roster because I want to make sure I don't pronounce it wrong. Okay, so
absolutely.
If you give me 1 second,
accuracy, as you could tell with our mistake-filled script today. And I forgot to mention Lamar's. They didn't win a second game; they played a second game that they nearly won. They lost to MOC Floyd Valley 3-2. But still, congrats to Lamar's. But
exactly.
Again, this is what happens when you get two guys trying to cover sports that they used to be around. And now I'm in Peoria and you're in Fremont, Nebraska, and so here we go.
It happens. Okay, let me see if I can. This is computer is being not cool, Cody. Not cool.
Can
Okay.
you allude to us what your thought process is right now?
So this is going to be a goal amount for the boys. And I'm
Okay.
sorry, I don't have any track or golf predictions, but as we all know, I'm kind of a
He's a soccer nut.
I'm a soccer nut. So I believe in these picks heavily. So we're gonna there it is. It's loading now. All right. Roster.
Why don't you just go ahead and give us your best attempt at it?
Okay. Oh, there it is. Okay. Look at that. So
Painless.
he's actually already had a clip on Twitter that was a heck of a shot.
I think I
From
know where you're going
it
with
was a
this.
volley, and I wish we had
I
the
know where
clip
you're
and we
going with
could show
this.
this because it was a beautiful I've played
I know it's on
soccer.
our Spotlight Sports Twitter
It
account.
is
Might have
on
to
our
scroll a little
Spotlight
bit, but we've
Sports.
retweeted it and quote tweeted it before.
Listen here. We'll say this and he already has. I'm looking here. He's already got 2 goals to his name and 3 assists. He's holding it down for this team. And on top of that, opposite of him is Gavin Tarbox. This is a St. Albert's team that is going to be very deadly for the Hawkeye 10. But Gabriel Barajas, I think I'm pronouncing that right. And if I pronounce that wrong, please let me know, guys. But I think Gavin Tarbox is going to have a bulk of their goal scoring. He's obviously the forward, but we cannot skip out on this freshman. This freshman, he's going to be very talented. Okay, I've seen him play in person, and he is going to be someone to watch. Gabriel Barajas will finish with 12 plus goals on the season, and I'm telling you this right now. He's already got 2, a lot more. Actually, you know what? 15. We will say 15 goals. I'm saying 15 goals plus on the season, and we'll throw in 8 plus assists. And he's going to have all of this by the end of it. He's a talented player, and you could talk to me at the end of the season, and if you told me that he didn't do that stat line, I would be shocked. I would have a heart attack right there. But I believe it. I believe this. All right. It's the end of the story right there. Gabriel Barajas, the freshman out of St. Albert's, 15 goals, 8 plus assists. That's how we're going to do this. So I believe it. All right.
Okay. So just to recap, for Tuma's takes, we had an unofficial one where he just wanted us to look at Underwood and Logan Magnolia girls soccer in 2 weeks to see where they'd be still in similar positioning. His first Tuma's take was Logan Magnolia girls will finish above 500 in conference play and will upset Trainer by the end of the season. I have it stamped as 410, so we remember the date. And then your second one was Gabe Barajas will finish with 15 or more goals as a freshman and also clip 8 or more assists.
That's exactly right. I believe it. I believe it.
Okay.
So.
Well, we've got a lot of action to get ready for this upcoming week. Hope everybody has a safe travel trip, I guess to say, because Easter weekend's coming up. We'll try and get a quick podcast out to this upcoming weekend, even with the holiday. Everybody stay safe, be smart, be kind. Brayton and I will be back this next weekend, and we'll see you guys next time. Thanks for tuning in to the Bright Lights Podcast.